Guys, so today I'm going to give you a video on the COVID-19. So I wanted to do this yesterday, but I kind of didn't have the time. So there you go, a quick video to give you all the information. And in the end, I'll tell you two websites that are really useful for any other things that you want to check on or ask or to keep up to date. Okay, so what is the virus? So this is a virus that currently has more than 88,000 people infected. Most of them are in mild condition, but we have 7% that are serious or critical. And there were also more than 80,000 cases that had an outcome, which of these, most of them were recovered, but we did have 8% of deaths, okay, in these cases. That's a graph as well from the same website, which I'll tell you in a second. And these two graphs are going to tell you the total number of cases and deaths and how they are increasing over time. And so far, the curve it does look like a little bit of an exponential, really. By the end of March or by the end of February, it's starting to look like an exponential, but hopefully this is going to have a plateau and is going to get better, okay? So the mortality rate for this disease so far, it seems to be 3.4%. So this is what they think is going to be in terms of the whole population, okay? So this was reported by the World Health Organization. By comparison, the seasonal flu, for example, kills fewer than 1%, and the initial estimate for this is going to be 2%, or was going to be 2%, okay? So this is already going over the expectations, unfortunately, okay? So what else can we say? Now, it was considered a pandemic. Now, what is a pandemic and what is the difference between that or an epidemic? So an epidemic is a disease that is in the specific place or country, so is just staying there in a certain area. In the pandemic, which is what was considered now, is a disease that spreads across countries, okay, so it's all over the world. And furthermore, when we have a situation of a pandemic, everyone can be potentially exposed and get the disease. So this is what is serious about this disease, okay? How quickly it spreads because people do not have the antibodies to kill this virus, okay? Now, what is the fatality rate? Now, again, this table was not made by me. I'll give you this website as well. But so far, the older you get, this is what the statistics are showing at the moment. The older you get, the more chances you have not to be able to survive to this virus. So these are so far the fatality rates that we have for the moment, okay? So the older you get, the worse it is for you, the harder it is for you to overcome the disease. And if you have pre-existing conditions, it also means that you have a higher chance to succumb to the disease. Now, these percentages are not representing the share of deaths of people that had a pre-existing condition. They simply say, in case you get a condition, or sorry, in case you get a virus, this is the chances that you have, or the higher chances that you get of dying of the disease, okay? So if you don't have any pre-existing conditions, your chances are way lower. You can see there 0.9%, but if you have cancer, for example, it's confirmed at 7.6%. That's going to be the higher chance that you have, okay? Now, what are the symptoms? Most of the symptoms are like just a flu, fever, a dry cough, and after a week, people tend to say that they felt quite worse, shortness of breath, for example, and about 20% of the patients required hospital treatment. So most of the people in the beginning, they don't realize how serious it is, and they keep doing their everyday lives, and without realizing they're infecting other people. And again, because people don't quite know that they have it in the beginning, there is an incubation period. So what happens is, of these infections, 80.9% are mild, so people can recover at home. 13.8 are severe, where people can have pneumonia and shortness of breath, and 4.7 are critical, and people can have respiratory failure, septic shock, multi-organ failure, okay? Now, the incubation period, so what is going on? So the thing is, you don't get the disease and you don't feel bad straight away. So you keep infecting people unknowingly, okay? Now, the mean incubation period for this disease has been estimated to be 5.2 days, and this is a 95% of confidence. but it could be up to 27 days, it has been reported. Okay, now why is important to know the incubation period? Well, if you know the incubation period, you can be more effective in your quarantine systems, and you have a better chance of controlling and preventing the spread of the virus. Okay, so that is why it's important for you to, stay home as much as you possible, in order not to get the disease and to spread it to your family, and in order not to give it to other people that will therefore spread to their families, even if you don't, feel bad. So you may have the disease and be spreading to other people without knowing. Okay, now, if we compare it with other virus, this incubation period is pretty bigger, okay? So this was not the best grammatical thing that I said, but this virus has a longer incubation period, 2 to 14 days, but it has been seen, as I said, 27 days. In this graph, it shows table, it shows 24 days, and is longer than the other viruses, okay, or other diseases that we had. Now, again, in average is 5.2 days, but it's still longer than the other viruses, okay? Now, how does it spread? Well, you first of all need to be in contact with someone that has the virus to get it, okay? Now, the disease can be spread from person to person, so droplets of air, droplets that go from the nose and mouth when you're talking, so they stay in the air. They say that it can stay in the air for at least and travel a meter. Now, these droplets can drop on surfaces and objects that are around the person, and then if you touch that surface or that object, and then subsequently you touch yourself, your eyes, nose, or mouth, you can get the virus. Okay. Now, you can also breathe in the droplets when the person is talking to you, and this is why people are saying that it's important, number one, to avoid contact with other people, and also if you are with other people, to be at least a meter or 3 feet away from a person that is sick. Now, again, the tricky part, sometimes you don't know the person is sick, and sometimes the person doesn't even know that they already have the virus, because the incubation period is still too early for them to know that they had the virus. It didn't make sense what I just said, but what I meant was that they were very early on in the stages of the incubation period, and therefore they don't know that they have the virus. They haven't felt the symptoms yet. Okay. Now, in terms of pets are actually, there is no evidence that they can transmit the virus. I know there were earlier reports that happened, and some people have been abandoning their pets, but actually there's no evidence whatsoever. It seems that they do not transmit the virus at all. There are no cases whatsoever. Okay. Now, what can you do to protect yourself? Now, you clean and wash your hands regularly. You can use alcohol. You can wash your hands with soap and water. You can use hand gels. Okay. You should maintain at least 1 meter or 3 feet away distance from people. When you're talking to them, or and especially if they are ill, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. You must keep a good respiratory hygiene. So, for example, if you're sneezing or coughing, cover your mouth and nose with your elbow or with a tissue, and then dispose of the tissue immediately. Stay at home. If your country is doing quarantine, make sure that you obey to the quarantine. This is no time to go around and see your friends, and even avoid seeing other members of your family, because you do not want them to get sick either and spread the disease any further. And keep up to date to everything, especially hotspots, like what is going on. Is my area getting better or worse? Okay, so keeping up to date and keeping informed is a great way for you to protect yourself as well. Okay, now, all the information that I gave you is in these 2 links, which I found them to be really, really useful. And I currently go to the very first one every day to check how things are going. So I'm going to put these links in the description, and I try to make this video as brief as possible. But as I told you, if you want more information, these amazing sites are going to give you, and there's also more information written in my video actually than what I said, because I wanted to keep it short, so anyone can just have an idea of what the disease is just by watching the video, even if they don't want to read everything or go to the websites later. Okay, so I hope it was good for you and it was useful, and stay safe. Make sure that you're avoiding other people. This is no time for you to go around really at the moment, and check my other videos. Why not, if you have so much free time? So stay safe, people, and up to my next video. Be happy and healthy. Bye.